Well, we spoke about the open letter that Gerhard Papenfus, the Chief Executive of the National Employers Association of South Africa, wrote. And in that open letter, he talks about whites, and he makes the point that they are not a homogeneous entity. They are a very diverse group. Among them, you have the rich and the poor, the very rich to the very poor. They fit into all the status strata in society, from the very important to not so important. Some have benefited through apartheid, others haven't. Some have found a way to survive and even prosper in the new South Africa, others can't. Some speak English and Afrikaans, and somehow this is still an issue. Some have two passports, others don't. Some want to leave South Africa but can't. Others can, but they choose to stay. Some are racist, others less so. Towards the latter part of this open letter, he makes a plea to whites in South Africa. But to find out more and to understand the thinking behind this open letter, Gerhard joins us this morning on the line. Thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. Good morning and welcome to Radio Islam International.
Hello, Suleiman. Thank you very much. And good morning to all the listeners.
Let me ask you, what was your motivation? What happened? What was your train of thought that culminated in you deciding to write this open letter?
Well, first of all, I'm white myself. So you're living in your community, in a world. You sense the mood. There's a deep concern. People are to some extent pessimistic, some of us. If I say us, I identify with the people. There was the State of the Nation speech by the President, and I think we are entering a new phase in South African politics. Political liberation came in '94, but I, for one, realized in '94 the political liberation was only the beginning. The hard part of it was still lying ahead, and I think that's where we are now. So we need to position ourselves, and we need to adopt a new attitude. To say this is a new phase we're entering, and we need to get our minds right for this thing.
Do you think that this frustration and marginalization that whites feel that they are under, that it is, that it has merit, that it's 100% understandable, or would you go with the other argument that says, look, at times that does happen, but many times you do also have white people who seem to be protecting privilege. You do have white people who still do not treat black people as equals, driving with them in the back of the bakkies, making the kind of comments that Penny Sparrow and others make. How do you understand where the majority lies here?
You read my first paragraph. Quoted that now, and I think it's a spread all over this. Let's just talk about racism. Racism is based on fear and ignorance. We adopt a particular attitude simply because we don't know, and in some cases we've never been exposed to something. If you know a person, you love him, everyone. But it's because we don't know, and to some extent we don't allow us to know. We don't get out of ourselves and get to know. And remember, that's not only a white or Afrikaner thing, it's a human thing. We live in areas, and we are confined to particular areas, and we are confined to particular views. So if you say, there are whites that do not treat other people as equal, then I say, of course that is the case, and that's why I say that how do you start in this new fight? We need to fight where the fight is. The fight is not against other people. The fight is, first of all, personal leadership, where we say, let's start with ourselves. And that's the most difficult thing to do. It's very easy to point fingers to others and say, you do. I say, no. Before you say others do, you do ourselves. Let us change our attitude. Let us do unto others that we want them to do to us. Let us treat others more important than we treat ourselves, as others being more important than we are ourselves. So, are there racists amongst whites? My answer is, of course there is. And I think there's an element of racism in all people. In a particular, you can switch from being a racist to a non-racist in a second. A situation presents itself and you respond. But I think there's entrenched racism based on serious ignorance, serious fear, and there's others that's occasion-driven. But I say we need to start with ourselves. We need to think. We need to view the world and other people differently. We need to view people created in God's image, because that's each and every person in this world. And we need to view people in that manner. And first of all, we are not on this earth to accumulate wealth. I'm not called to accumulate wealth. If I'm privileged to have wealth, it is for others to share in it and for me to empower other people with that wealth. It is not just for myself. I mean, it's never been the purpose for life to become rich. Wealth is something that is there to benefit everybody, and we need to change that attitude. And we need to see this hardship, if you can call it hardship. I'm so using the word, lack of another word for the moment, as an opportunity to change us.
Yeah.
So it's a new phase. It's a new opportunity.
So in essence, are you saying to white people that be the change that you want to see, embrace the new dynamics in terms of South Africa 22 years after democracy, and start with yourself? Don't wait for others to do for you.
That's exactly what I'm saying, sir. That's exactly what I'm saying.
What has been the response since your open letter has come into the public domain?
Now, first of all, the media, you're actually the first radio station or television or radio station that I've spoken to. I appreciate this. The media is very quiet with this. I don't think they know what to do with this.
and what has been the response from fellow whites? Amongst your colleagues, your friends?
From very positive to extremely negative. Guys write letters to me to say, "What are you smoking?" For some it's hope, for others it's, where are you coming from? You don't know. If people say, "This guy do not know what he's talking about." Yeah. So it's spread all over. But people don't read. People, if you read the first paragraph, you'll start off and thinking this guy is a racist, but I'm just setting the tone to the situation. If you read the first 3 paragraphs, you think this guy is a racist. If you read the last paragraph, a guy says to me, "I'm a communist." You read what you want.
No, yeah.
We don't see with our eyes, we see with our minds, and people see what they want. So, if they really sit down and read properly, but, people don't read, actually.
Yeah, no, it's true what you're saying, because my producer is the one that actually came across your open letter, and she said to me on Monday when we were having our meeting that, look, this is this open letter, and it talks about whites and how they need to, change their attitude in the new South Africa. And I thought, okay, this sounds interesting, but when I read the first 2 paragraphs, I started to wonder what's happening here. But it's only in the second half of the open letter that you get to the crux of what you saying. Gerhard, let me ask you this: do you think 22 years on that we've achieved more than as a nation, blacks, whites, everyone, in terms of overcoming this race issue as compared to the matters that are still outstanding on the very issue?
Solomon, let me that's a fantastic, it's a very challenging question. I think we've come a long way. I mean, there are people whose lives are tremendously improved. But there are people that's worse off. I mean, poverty is terrible. So the answer is yes and no. If somebody asks me, how do you experience racism, for instance, I will say, I never experienced racism. I never experienced it. Never. I don't know what you're talking about. So when people say, "What? But why do you write about racism?" I say, I hear about racism. I don't experience it, but others do. And I bought something yesterday, and the place where I bought it, the lady said to me, her mother is dead, passed away a time ago, and she said, "This is such a schlep, this whole thing that follows her death." And she had to go to a police station with with stuff that you need to, probeer the sworn affidavits done.
Yeah.
And it's a white lady. And when she got there, the policeman said to her, he only allows her to do it with 10 documents. And he chased her away. And I said, really, he chased you away? Now, for her as a white person, that must have been a tremendous traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
But this has happened in the past with other people. But it's never happened to me. The fact is, we've come a long way, and at this place, the relationship amongst people in South Africa is actually fantastic. But it's also very, very bad.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on where you find yourself. There are people whose lives have tremendously improved. Rick, apartheid was at the dark ages. There's no doubt about it. And I'm so relieved, and it's so wonderful that we're beyond that. And you can't long back to that. I mean, it's simply impossible, but still there are people that use that as their point of reference. Mm. But the fact is, we've come a long way. It's a better place to be, but it is for some people a worse place. And I'm talking about all people.
Yeah.
There are people that is struck into structural poverty. That's one side, and so there's the other side of life. Have we gone a long way? I think we could have done much, much, much better. South Africa is actually a very rich country, and if we utilize our resources, two things. If we adopt a new attitude in South Africa, everyone, if we utilize our resources the way we can, because we're a rich country, if we don't waste money, we can spend money on education and health, just to use two. So such a huge amount of money, but our money goes to the wrong place. People are ill-equipped. There's cadres deployed, and please, when I say that, there's people that think, okay, you're talking black. I'm not talking color.
Yeah.
I'm not talking color. Good people and bad people is not color-bound. And equipped and clever people and talented people, that's not color-bound. We can do much more. We need to adopt a new attitude in South Africa, and I say that in a paragraph there. I say we also need to criticize where it's due. I can't sit back and say I'm guilty of something and therefore I will be quiet. I will not be quiet. I will criticize. Indeed. I'm a South African, and I'm obliged to fight.
Yeah. Gerhard, thank you so much for your time this morning. I'm sure that going forward, more people will pick up on this open letter, and hopefully it will lead to constructive discourse and discussion.
Solomon, I appreciate the conversation. It's always wonderful to talk to your station.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Same day. Bye-bye.